Let's call the meeting to order. The record reflect all council members are present. We shall move into our department report, starting with code.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a report from June. Just some highlights from the report you have in front of you there. Code inspections were 48. We had 41 permits written. Had 3 new businesses acquire a business license, and we had 6 that were closed. Actually, 1 was just never opened, so it was refunded. We had Arby's get permitted in that time frame, and they've got about 60 more days of their 75-day schedule to get that built. So we'll see how they do on that. We received business license renewals. We have only 2 still outstanding. We're probably going to have to get the marshal to go and remind those people that that's a little bit late in the year to be taking care of it. We were also researching zoning inquiries, inspecting and processing nuisance house projects. You can see on the attached spreadsheet how that's going. We've got 3 more in process with the lawyer's office. The city marshal removed 33 signs from the roadway. He wrote 81 repair cleanup orders. The historic preservation issued a certificate of appropriateness for a privacy fence on 6th Street. And if you have any questions about the balance of the report, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Electric telecom.
Thank you, Mayor. Some items of interest, the fiber to the X update I will wait on until later on in the meeting when we have that item come up. You'll notice the Wayne Street Power Project. We have started what we call alleying out the existing power, which is moving it out to a safe distance so our guys can work. You'll see all the orange wire and orange cover-up safety gear setting that down. We are moving some poles to the property line that have historically set in the middle of parking lots down Wayne. And we are going to move the laterals that go from Wayne over to behind the buildings, like in Buckles, to underground to the side of the building. So we'll move those poles over up against the buildings to a much better location, out of the parking lots. And then we'll come back overhead there and feed the customers from that site. We've talked to, mainly the only business owner is, his name is slipping my mind, but it is the one that owns Buckles. Huh? Yeah, Mr. Draper. It's the only one we're having to deal with, and he is very happy with the situation as he's remodeling Buckles already. So it's all working out at the same timeline with him. We should get all that alleying out done sometime this week or the middle of next week, and you'll see us start pulling the new conductor in. And then we'll move forward with pulling the old poles and putting the laterals underground. Internet package testing has begun throughout the system. We have put faster packages on every node, and so we're seeing what the impact is to the system, and we'll be able to bring those packages to you for approval in the next month or 2, once we see what the system, how the system reacts to those packages. Power usage is normal for this time of year finally. We've been real cool during the spring, and it's come up to summer. We've got some higher temperatures, and it's stressed the stations a little bit, but they're fine. They're holding good. Internet speeds have picked up a good bit, but no higher than expected during our package test. And I'll take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. The performance indicators, the local option sales tax number was 146,500. The July loss number just came in, and it's 146,600. The airport fuel sales for the 5th month in a row were above $12,000. Moving on to the financial status. Operating cash for general fund, solid waste, and utilities is still in good shape. The general fund, utilities, and solid waste expenses are all below the 50% year-to-date mark at this point, so that's good also. Staff is currently evaluating the financial software, and we hope to have something to you next month about that. And we are also working on the budget worksheets to hand out to department heads, and hopefully we'll be able to hand that out to them towards the end of next week. And I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much. Fire Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the fire department, they had 198 calls, total calls for service last month, and 117 med assist type calls. They conducted 182 hours of training. We've gotten both of our 2017 budgeted vehicles in. One of them's having emergency equipment installed on it now, and we'll probably have both those deployed in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's been a good thing. We're kicking off that fire recruit program, which will help build us a temp population, and it also give folks an opportunity to seek a career in firefighting. That's going to be, I think, have a very positive effect, not just only on the fire department, but our community. That's pretty much it for the fire right now. They are over with police at National Night Out. Had good crowds through the time period. I think we're doing that the right way and making it a total public safety national night out versus just law enforcement. So that's been a good evening. I saw a couple of councilmen there. We appreciate y'all getting out. Pending your questions.
Okay, Police Department.
Police had 3,384 calls for service, 95 Part 1 crimes, 36 Part 2 crimes. And you can notice back in your packet right now, the Part 1, Part 2 crimes versus last year are looking a lot better. Don't want to jinx that, but they do. You can see the community relations events that we had in the month of June. Some of the things that we've gotten done, we've completed our record management systems upgrade. Our live scan's been in place now for a few months. We got it doing real well on printing, processing folks. We just received an Intox 9000 last week. It'll go into operation the first of, hopefully nobody in here ever gets to use the Intox 9000, but it's a new piece of equipment we have related to DUIs. We've also completed this year in-car laptop upgrades with very little taxpayer dollars spent. The Intox 9000 was on a Governor's Office of Highway Safety grant. The live scan, most of those dollars we used seized assets. The laptop upgrade was totally done by a Governor's Office Highway Safety grant that the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police manages that for them. So we've gotten a lot of new equipment on that end. We've been able to use grant monies and other type monies, and it pays dividends for us. Pending your questions, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Solid Waste.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our solid waste collection trended down from the month of June, and the recycling trended up. And I just want to make a couple comments on our services. We're always trying to improve our local collection services, and so we'll be actually updating our door hanger system. We've got some information that's been a little bit outdated. We've been responding to a number of calls about missed pickups, what to set out at curbside. A little different question, like even recycling. We run into a lot of high contamination in the bin. So we're going to put out some information to help our citizens and our personnel to improve the service. Ongoing, we're replacing residential and commercial containers on the collection routes. The question you might have, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Danny. Streets and Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. Just highlighting a few areas from the report from the month of June. On the admin side, we rented out the community building 10 times. Combined between our grounds division and our right-of-way crew, we've picked up about 1.5 tons of litter throughout the city. And our sign and marking division, as well as our building maintenance division, continues to stay ahead of the game with stay on top of the work orders and getting the work completed throughout the various facilities throughout the city. Tell you what's coming up next for our department and where to see us within the next probably couple weeks to a month. Starting Monday, even though the weatherman says we're going to get rain on next week, we're planning on starting the overlay portion of our 2017 LMIG program. That's the we've completed the patching section of it. You may have seen some of them out yesterday and today, clipping the shoulders back on the roads that we're getting ready to pave, which are Etten Drive, Baker Street, Masters Drive, and the second phase of Meadow Walk subdivision, which consists of Meadow Walk Drive, Meadow View, Meadow Court, Meadow Trace, Manor Place, and Brooklyn Court. That's about 2 weeks worth of overlay right there, and then after that will be the striping, building some shoulders back, planting some grass back on there for our right-of-way crews to be able to maintain that. Again, once we finish that, the next thing we're going to do is the completion of our Church Street sidewalk project, and then from there we will go to another location, one of 3 for the continuation of our sidewalk plan, working through the rest of the summer into the fall with that. I'll be glad to take any questions.
Still, I'm sorry, but I don't know whether it's the way the mic's turned or what. It's hard to hear you over here with me. Can you go over those streets again that are coming up?
Okay. Etten Drive, Baker Street, Masters Drive, and then the second phase of Meadow Walk subdivision. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 streets in the back section of that was never topped out, that we'll finish out the topping in that subdivision, starting Monday, weather permitting.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jeremiah? Thank you. Water, sewer, gas, and stormwater.
Thanks,
Right.
Mayor. As far as the numbers go, everything's pretty consistent with previous months, so I wanted to give an update on a couple of projects. We're currently in the process of getting the easements in the alleyway off of North Lumpkin Street. It's the alley that runs out behind Michi's. The reason for that is we're going to attempt to run a water line down the alleyway, and several of those businesses have came to us and they're having to share meters. They're wanting to try to break that up, so to keep from cutting the streets up in town, cutting the sidewalks out, we're going to run a line up the alleyway and service those that want separate meters. We're also the 5th and 6th Street, the CDBG project, will be going out to bid next week. So that's a water sewer, storm, and new curbing and street on 5th and 6th Street. On the gas, the 78 bridge relocation, that project is out to bid now. The pre-bid meeting is next Tuesday, and the bid opening will be on the 24th of August. And we also have the Davis, Ash, Harris, Lacey main replacement out to bid. I think it's set for August 10th. And we'll bring that back to you on the September meeting. And we're also finishing up on our Alcovey Street gas main replacement, so hopefully we'll be winding everything up on that one. Any questions?
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
And that concludes our department report. Safety Committee, excuse me.
Yeah, we kicked off our safety committee today. We had a group of employees. Chris Bailey headed that up for us. What we hope to get out of this is to lower our workers' comp claims, have better and safer equipment, and just keep our employees safe as we go in and serve the public. We also will be eligible for various grants through GMA's Workers' Comp program. So that was a good kickoff meeting we had today, and we'll be holding those hopefully monthly. And we'll have some training next month out at GUDA for the next iteration of the safety committee. One other update I wanted to give you is on Childers Park. I know that's a high-profile park for a lot of folks here in town. Obviously, we've got the goats out there eating all the kudzu, so that's kind of fun to go out there and watch every now and then. So that's kind of phase one for getting some of that scaled back. We are adding additional mowing times to our contract that we have out there. There's a private service that does that in a couple other locations like the cemeteries in the city. So we're going to try to step that up to keep that trimmed back and looking presentable, so that encourages people to get out and enjoy our park. We cleaned the lower bridge. Jeremiah's crew did that recently, you know, with all the rain that we had a few weeks ago. Got a little slimy, a little slick. So they've cleaned that, and they're looking at putting up some additional grip surface on that bridge to keep it safe. But overall, we're making progress on Childers. A lot of kudzu to get through, but we'll get there.
Okay. Any questions for Logan? All right, that ends our department reports. We'll move into committee information. Does the finance have anything?
We don't have anything this evening, Mayor.
Okay. Airport, Chris, you got any? Okay. No report. Let's see, Public Works.
We do have in Public Works a couple of things, Mayor. First of all, we need to discuss the wage service contract renewal with Republic. And Mr. Smith, are you doing that one, or Logan?
I can handle that from here. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. You have before you the 2018 through 2022 Republic Waste Services contract renewal. This goes into effect at the end of this year, the beginning of next year, 2018, but we're going ahead and authorizing this with Republic. They've been a great partner with us over the past 5 years out at the transfer station. What we have here is just a couple highlights of a flat 3% annual increase rather than using the solid waste CPI, which can fluctuate wildly. That's a little bit hard for both the city and Republic to really keep an eye on. So it's kind of a good partnership to have that steady increase here at just 3%. We also will continue to get a true up for any tonnage shortages at the station, 1,900 tons a month minimum. So far, they've been bringing in much more than that, which has been good for our solid waste fund revenue. Current pricing as of today is $30.80 a ton. And Monica Mosley is here. I don't know if you want to present anything or any updates to this contract. If you have any questions for Monica, she can present those.
Good evening. Pleasure to come before you. Monica Mosley with Republic Services, the municipal manager for the account. As Logan stated, we do appreciate your consideration with the 3%, so that way it's much easier for the city and Republic to budget. And because the costs, we're always incurring more costs with the transportation end of it, taking the waste to the landfill. And as far as the tonnage, as Logan stated, we have been meeting those tonnage volumes and continue. We don't anticipate not continue. And there is a put or pay, so if Republic doesn't put the tonnage in there that we've agreed upon, then we will be charged whatever that delta is per ton. So the city is protected there. And so it's to our benefit to make sure that we get it in and not be charged the extra. And then we've agreed to meet annually in July to go over the tonnage to make sure that all is still well. And, you know, if we foresee anything coming, we'll be able to let the city know, good or maybe not so good, but hopefully it'll always be well, hopefully so. But I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. All right, thank you.
So Logan, the only difference in this agreement now is the 3% increase.
Right.
And the true-up agreement, is that something new?
It was there last year, or the previous contract. We just wanted to make sure it was included again. In our negotiations, we've agreed on this 1,900 tons a month rate.
Okay. Any questions from the committee members? Then do I have a motion that we recommend approval of this agreement?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion by Mr. Adcock,
Second.
second by Mr. Richardson, all in favor? Okay. Ms. Mayor, we also have another item that needs to be brought up, and that's on the contract for the West Spring Street Construction Administration, and I think Mr. Brooks is going to handle that one also.
Thank you, sir. This one's kind of exciting because this means we're getting closer to actually doing something out here on West Spring Street and getting this sidewalk project further down the road. So the project is estimated at about $1.5 million. It's a very complex construction project, and Kecken Wood, our engineer on this, has offered to do the construction management for $45,000, which is the same as what the North Broad contract was that you had a month or two ago. And this will be for managing the 1.544 miles of sidewalk project on West Spring Street all the way to White Oak Drive. This is, like I said, a pretty complex project. We've already gone through right-of-way acquisition, and now we're gearing up to put it out to bid this month, with construction likely in late October, November, based on what the contractor submitted to us in these bids. So we're getting there, and this is just one more step in the process.
Anybody have any questions for Logan? I think it's something we've all been looking forward to getting started out there, to get that sidewalk done all the way on West Spring.
And these are 5-foot width sidewalk?
They're 5 foot. They're going to have some brick inlay, so it'll be a little bit decorative.
Okay.
And then we'll have some decorative lighting as we go along down through there as well. And hopefully, if we have enough money, we can do some trees as well. So it'll be a nice look for the city from downtown all the way out to the Walmart area.
That's great.
And everybody's been satisfied with what Kecken Wood's done with the same type of contract on the other projects?
Yes, sir. So far, so good. They've been very, very easy to deal with, and communicate with us very well.
Okay.
And they did work through some problems that we had on design on South Broad Street. They got that taken care of with no problem.
Good. So do we have a motion to recommend approval of the contract to Kecken Wood for $45,000?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, Mr. Richardson.
Second.
Second, Mr. Adcock, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, that's all we have.
Thank you, Larry. Move into utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. First item would be the approval of a list of surplus items. Who wants to?
Have Mr. Bailey present that.
Pretty standard what we've done in the past. We've kind of assessed vehicles that we have in the fleet that are past their useful life, some that we've replaced, or majority actually. Most of them are with utilities, public works. There's a few that we added. Code, police department's got one. Jet fuel truck I'd mentioned, I think 2 months ago, I believe, that we would come back and eventually surplus it. And just asking that we go through the normal means that we usually do and put them on gov deals. Probably be very 1st of September after advertising. So, just asking for approval.
Are any of the items that's listed here, do they need a direct replacement right now?
No, sir.
So
none that I'm aware of, because the majority of this would either been items that have already been replaced and we've just gotten them grouped together, and now we're going to surplus them.
Chief Glass, you don't need this motorcycle anymore, do you?
I'm not a motorcycle fan.
is there a motion to recommend to council that we surplus the items as listed?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Bradley. Is there a second? I second. All those on the committee in favor say aye. Aye. We'll recommend that to council. Is any?
Thank you.
The next item would be the purchase of water meters and the ERTS. To go with Mr. Middlebrook.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Asking for your approval to purchase 300 new Neptune meters with the 100W ERTs. The reason for these, I know we just finished up a 7,000 meter change out. But back in 2008, when the council decided to go to AMR, we started out doing those ourselves in-house, about 500 a year. So we have about 1,500 meters that are sitting out there that are the very first meters with the 60W ERT. 300 of those have went bad. So we would replace those 300 and then we would turn around and send these back and they will replace the 60W ERTs with a 100W ERT. Now the difference in that is a 60W only sends the reading to the meter readers. That's it. The 100W gives us the leak indicator or the leak profile for the whole month. So if somebody has a leak or doesn't think they have a leak, we can pull up their hourly usage for the whole month. And so it allows us to have that record of usage. So we'll get the updated ERTs as replacements. So and I included a sole source letter, I think it's beside you there, from Delta Municipal Supply. They're the Neptune dealers for Georgia. And the reason we want to stick with the Neptune meters is the other 7,000 we put in were all Neptune, and we'd like to keep them consistent because we do stock parts for those meters, and it would require us to stock additional brands if we changed out to other meter brands. If you got any questions,
Well, as I understand it, the real reason for having to replace these is because of the electronics, the ERT.
Yes, and the
That's
reason
what's gone bad, and that's what they're going to replace. But they can't be installed on the current meters that we have.
When we first went to AMR, the problem was that the ERTs were attached to the meter in a way that we couldn't cut them off or take them off and splice them in. They were kind of hardwired inside the meter. When we did our meter replacement, the 7,000 meters, they have a quick disconnect to where basically just turn the thing and take the ERT off and put a new one on. The first 1,500 we did are hardwired. You can't do that. So these 300 replacements would be the new style as well, to where you'd have the disconnect to remove them in future instances where the ERT went bad.
And the 300 that are bad now are having to be manually read.
Right.
I mean, the meter reader has to go open and,
correct,
and read it. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Crawford. Is there a second? I second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We'll recommend the purchase to full council.
Thank you.
Next thing, Mr. Middlebrooks, the replacement of the natural gas take station.
Yes, I think there's a picture included in that on your laptop there. This is the building that sits out in front of the warehouse. And there's two regulator stations inside. Basically what it does is when the gas leaves Transco, it comes to us at 300 pounds, and we cut it to 150 for a high pressure system, and we cut it to 30 for a low pressure system. What we're doing, and this has been you've probably seen in our CIP for the last 2 or 3 years. We finally got a design and got some good pricing. Low bid was $51,680. And what we'll do is the new regulator stations will sit behind this building. We'll move it back off the road, which would allow that building to be removed, as well as the concrete structures you see out there that's kind of an eyesore. All those will be removed, and it'll clean up that corner as well. And the reason for going ahead and doing this before we do the bridge relocation, we wanted to have this set so that when that line's ran, they can hook up to this instead of having to hook it to the old one and then turn around and back up and pay twice. So I want to go ahead and get this started. They'll actually build this off-site, and it'll be sent off to be powder coated and provided a good coat to protect it, and then they'll come here and install it. So probably a month, 2 months out before it's built and installed.
Randy, other than something that looks nicer, is there a reason for?
Well, it also gives you all the new technology. There's a lot of things that's changed on the regulator stations that we'll actually be able to get notifications to smartphones or email or text or whatever, that will provide us with any like pressure fluctuations or anything that's going on with Transco that's going to cause us issues. It will allow us to have some notification and some and stuff like that. The one we got down there now, if you stand out there, you can hear it leaking. We work on it all the time. It's just I don't know how long it's been there. I guess since
Been there since the 50s.
Yeah, I mean it's the original station. So it's a lot of money spent on it, keeping it up. But and the building as well. We try to keep it painted, but you can't. It's just an eyesore. I mean so there'll be some maintenance dollars that we won't have to spend either in the future.
Any other questions?
If I'm not mistaken too, I want to add this. I believe the fence is going to be moved back with the sidewalk project, which would cause even, instead of those few concrete pilings you see now, we'd have to add to that, because we've got to get some type of protection there on the corner to keep somebody from running through it. So.
I move approval, or the recommendation for approval.
For the low bid of $51,680.
That's it.
Motion by Mr. Bradley. Is there a second? I'll second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We recommend that to council. Equipment purchase for the FTTX project.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Back during the budget process, we discussed a fiber to the premise or a fiber to the X project. Basically, a fiber to the X project is a project where you're delivering your communication services over fiber, be it to a home, a multi-dwelling unit, apartment, or a business. So we discussed doing a project, the first one of these projects, or standardized projects, in the downtown corridor, the core of downtown. It's easy, we got a lot of fiber down there. It's mostly businesses, so we'll have a high take rate on the product. So what we've done is we spent the past 4 or 5 months meeting with the 3 main providers of fiber to the home and talking to other small telecom providers that are doing this same type of project. It comes down to Calix, Adtran, and Allied Telesis are the 3 big players in the market. We went through all their products, looked at what everybody was offering. We came down to Adtran for several reasons. Adtran's been in the business forever. They've been in the telecom business for as long as there's been telecom. They're a good standard. They work well with our dial tone provider, who has a Metaswitch, works well with this product. And so as we went with that, we started doing a standardized product. And by a standardized product, I'm talking about a standardized footprint. So each cabinet that we designed would be one standard cabinet, meaning the power supply, the batteries, the rectifiers, the cabinet itself, and the physical chassis of the fiber products would be the same no matter where you deploy it. The difference is the cards. So with this product, or this project, it will be a direct Ethernet or active Ethernet. We'll have a separate fiber to every single customer. But let's say you're doing a subdivision and you want to do what's called a GPON or 10 gig PON. These are passive optical networks where you have less fiber in the area, so you use the passive optical network to deploy the product. So this product, this chassis can do both. It can be very, very flexible, and you can actually do both products out of each chassis. So what we did is we spec'd out all the electronics to get us started in the downtown. If you'll see, there's a lot of stuff with Adtran. There's the brain, the batteries, the cabinet, all the different cards to get started. Then the ONTs, which are the optical network. I have no idea what the T stands for. It's the little box that sits inside your building that turns the optical into something you can use inside your building, into an Ethernet connection or a phone connection. Then we have to have a server that will hand out IP addresses. It assigns the IP address to each ONT. So we got the bids from Power & Tel and Walker & Associates, who are both the vendors for Adtran in the Southeast. They came out very, very close. They both sharpened their pencil a lot to get to that point. Then we went with Georgia IT Consulting and directly to Dell for the prices on that, and we came out with $74,193.96. That gets us started. That covers the downtown. Now this product is capable in an active Ethernet of this one chassis of doing 504 individual connections. We'll start off with this small amount, get started, start building our business plan, come back to you as we get the unit in and start testing it and get it up and running. We plan to come back to you either next month or the month after with the pricing for the product. And then we'll build our business plan to move forward. But I'm excited about this. This is capable of providing over-the-top products, TV, internet, phone, any kind of communication service that we provide now in a multiple of ways. This is able to provide it directly over glass through one device.
So what is the geographic district for
the initial start would be about from Academy Lock and Key over to Peters and Foster's on that, going that way, and then from Washington Street to this office, north and south, would be what I would imagine. That's where our core fiber network is anyway, so that makes it easy to deploy. And once you do that deployment, you move on to the next one. But Mr. Bradley, I see this. You know, there's 100 and something customers right there. Once we get our foot in the door on this and learn how to ride this horse, we will deploy it on out. We can go, the pond itself, if you do a pond network off of this, it can go kilometers, miles to the next project. So if you see a new subdivision coming out, you can deploy it either out of this box or build into the project, do the same thing at that location.
So this fiber affects telephone, TV, and internet?
Right now, just telephone and internet. There are people doing TV over this. We haven't found the correct over-the-top product that we want to provide or we want to offer. But if you've been watching the news lately, YouTube just came out with a TV product that is provided over the internet that is wonderful. And I hate to tout somebody else's product, but it's cheap, it's easy, and the customer would have to have a high-speed internet to get it. But something like that YouTube, whether you partner with a YouTube or a Hulu or a NCTC, we're a member of that, the National Cable Co-op. They just signed a deal with PlayStation, the PlayStation Vue. So you can partner with them and sell their product through your network.
So, just so we understand, this is a fiber product. So if I've got a business downtown, what's the advantage to me as a businessman for this?
Oh, zero maintenance. It's owned. Unless somebody cuts the fiber, it's owned. And the ability to go to 1 gig in speed. Right now, the highest package we can offer on a cable modem is about 100 meg. Well, it's 10 times that speed.
So if I'm owning a business that's downtown right now, that also does internet business and stuff,
yes,
it gives them much more capability.
Well, just one instance, we did a wireless deployment downtown a couple of years ago because our upload speeds, we couldn't get our upload speeds to where one certain customer, a lady that owns a photography place down there, she uploads a lot of pictures. The people at at the Amicis, and 4 or 5 others down there. I think we got about, it might be up to 10 now, off of that wireless deployment. That was for upload speeds that you can't get on a cable modem, that you can get on a fiber network. But the main thing to me, Mr. Bradley, is the availability of the network. A cable TV or a cable modem-based product has an uptime of about a 96, 97% uptime, whereas a fiber-based product in our network has a 99 or 4 nines, a 99.9999% uptime. That's huge on a business. Huge. And the maintenance goes away. We have a deployment out on behind Quality Foods apartment complex where we did what's called an RFOG, or RF over glass. Once it was deployed, once it was installed, we never go back there. And we've been looking for I mean, it just works. So it's delivered over glass. Glass works all the time.
But you're saying, though, that for businesses to take advantage of this, they're going to have to contract, and we'll come up with a price later?
No. What we're going to do, my plan, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, but if you approve this, our plan is to deploy this throughout downtown and just deploy it in every building that is our customer, and allow them, if they want the same type of package they have now on a cable modem, they like that speed, they can keep that speed. Same package, same price. But if they want to go to a bigger, better price, we're doing it for several reasons. One, for economic development, but the main reason you go to glass is maintenance. It cuts those truck rolls down to little or nothing, but it also gives that customer the ability to go to that 1 gig if they want it.
Sounds good.
Now, in purchasing this equipment, how much expansion can this?
It can go to 504, and I think I misspoke in my thing. I think I said 200. This is spec'd out to 100 customers up front, but it can be built out to 504.
So right now, it's really more looking at businesses.
Businesses right now. We'll use this as a proof of concept, Mr. Bradley, to move forward and we will talk more in the coming months on a transition to the whole network, to fiber throughout the whole city.
And we're looking at the cost on this, to clarify. Our payback on this is going to come not only from existing customers that like it, but from new customers that may want to move into the downtown area.
Yes, sir. And from lowering maintenance costs, lowering truck rolls. That's a huge thing with me. You think about a truck roll, industry standards about $125, $130 a roll in those bucket trucks, and they roll all day long. So that's one of the big things. But economic development is huge in the downtown area.
You say you will be able to put TV on this when you find...
Actually, the day it deploys, customers can get an over-the-top product from another provider. But we are still working to figure out what that product will be for us. That, in the whole market, TV is changing. People my age and older, or maybe even a little bit younger than me and older, are used to a standard TV. You know, kids younger don't watch TV like we watch TV.
Right, but I know what we're looking for is to get out of the cable and get into the glass.
Yes, sir. And that's capable of it.
Use the function, then you know we're going about it the wrong way.
It is, and actually we'll have a product to demonstrate to y'all shortly.
Okay.
Over this type of product.
Just don't want to buy this and have to come back and buy something.
No, sir. This doesn't future-proof the electronics, because electronics are never future-proof.
I understand that.
But the cards, Adtran has this is their long-term product.
Okay.
What they consider a long-term product. But what you got to think about, the most expensive thing of building a fiber network is getting the fiber in place, and we've already done that for the downtown network. So the electronics can change in year to year, but the glass is always there.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we pass this for approval for approval to the full council next week, the amount of $74,193.96.
There's a motion by Mr. Bradley. Is there a second? I second the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? The motion passes. We recommend this to the full council. Thank you, Mayor. That's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Public safety.
Mayor, we've got one item for discussion, downtown speed management and pedestrian safety. Chief Glass, you want to address that?
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. A real good thing is that probably in the last 3 to 5 years, we've had a good uptick in the amount of pedestrians we have in downtown Monroe, which is a good thing. Speeds and amount of traffic through downtown are probably about the same they've been for that 3 to 5 year period, but now we notice it more because there are more of us here to notice it. One complaint that I think I've had the whole time I've been in law enforcement here is the tractor-trailer traffic. And a tractor-trailer that's running 40 miles an hour, that's pretty significant. That's a lot. That's 80,000 pounds behind him, and he's got to try to get that thing stopped from 30 or 40. What we have done, what we're doing currently, I've contacted Shane Giles with DOT, who is a district traffic operations manager, and I know Logan has had contacts with DOT, and I also know that our judge has had contacts with DOT. What I've asked them to do is look at our speed limits, which are 35 for the most part and 30 in some places. I've asked them to look at that and see if we wouldn't be better with a congested area like we have downtown if those speed limits were at 25 miles an hour versus 35 or 30. We have increased the amount of traffic work we're doing. We also have Georgia State Patrol working out here with us. We've just finished some traffic studies that I've sent to Logan. You know, when you look at the average speeds, North Broad, the average speed was 28, South Broad was 41, West Spring was 38, East Spring was 36. The high ends, when you look at the studies, it indicates to us what time periods we should be working traffic. That shows when the most speeding is going on. It shows all those percentages, and that's what we're doing right now. We'll probably have a small educational type thing because we do have some pedestrian issues too. Sometimes we forget that we need to walk in the crosswalks, and pedestrians don't have the right-of-way in the roadway. They do have the right-of-way in the walkway, but they don't just in the roadway. Sometimes that's hard to get folks to understand that. But we're probably going to do just a little educational film talking about speeding, the walkway, crosswalk usage, and we're probably going to also talk about loud music in downtown. That becomes an issue to downtown folks too. But that's where we at, and I know, Logan, you got some stuff to add to that.
Just briefly, to go along with that, I had contacted DOT and they were very responsive about getting out here, patching up some of these depressions all the way down Broad Street. Hopefully that'll stop the buildings from shaking when the tractor trailers are rolling over. So I was happy they came out and did that. They also resynchronized a lot of the traffic lights down through there to keep traffic flowing, keep people from getting impatient as much, which they still will some. We have a lot of traffic downtown. And also for the pedestrian safety, some of these crosswalks weren't working. So they went back and fixed all the ones that they could find were inoperable. And because what we were seeing were pedestrians just risking it, running out in front of traffic because they were tired of waiting for that walk light to come on. So for right now, most of those issues have been fixed. If y'all are downtown and see anything wrong, see things acting up again with the lights, just let me know and we'll hotline over to our GDOT folks to get that fixed right away. That's all I have.
It's all public safety. Okay. Economic development.
Thank you. Wanted to report on some great things that happened in July. On July 8th, we had our first housing expo, partnership with the Walton Barrow Board of Realtors and Hope Monroe, and our housing team really head that up, and it was very successful. We filled up the community building, had over 175 adults sitting in the sessions learning about how to rebuild their credit, how to buy HUD homes, how to use USDA tools. So that was, we're thrilled. We had 73 surveys that were turned in. All of them said the event was helpful. And it was a mix of renters and homeowners. All of them but one said they would recommend the event for sure to someone else in the community. So we think that's a great start. They also indicated what subjects they want more community education on, and housing was number one. So that's it's a great victory for our housing team, and it kind of guides us on how we're going to continue as we finish out the GIC program. The CHIP grant housing rehabilitations, 2 homes are scheduled to begin this week. And Hope Monroe has begun construction or rehabilitation of their first home at 339 North Madison. So we are beginning to see some of those, the nonprofits and the grant monies going directly towards housing rehabilitations. That's encouraging. We already mentioned Childers Park. We did have a community work day on July 15th. Thank you to city employees for running the giant chipper for us. That was very helpful. We took down some dead trees, cleaned up a lot. You might not be able to tell because it's a huge park. It's a 17-acre park, and a handful, 30 volunteers can do a lot, and we've actually had 2 different volunteer work days, but there's just a lot more to do to make that park a great place. The hydrant art project, I know I mentioned that, a lot of them have been painted now, so if you haven't been in the park, near the dog park, you should go see. It's kind of fun to see a lot of the hydrants painted. All of them have been purchased, and we were able to purchase a fountain, so a drinking fountain with water that has a lower one for pets and animals and a higher one for adults and people. That's purchased, just waiting in storage till we get water, so that fundraiser was successful to get water in the park. Food Truck Friday, Movies at the Mill, was once again a great event. Large crowds happened last weekend, and that was the last community service event for the Monroe summer interns, the college kids that were here. That was their last event to serve and work, and so they're all moved in back to school, and a lot of them fell in love with Monroe and say they're going to be back, so that was great to have those interns again. We have a concert this Friday night. The Tams will be here. Hopefully we'll have a rain-free concert. We also were notified last week by the Georgia Downtown Association that once again Monroe Downtown will be winning 2 awards at the state level for excellence in downtown. We'll be awarded those at the annual conference in Columbus at the end of August, so we're thrilled to have earned those again. And we'll have our annual DDA planning retreat August 10th, which is next week. It'll be at Sparrow Hill Inn. If you have any issues that you'd like to make sure that we address or consider, please pass those on to Ms. Malcolm as the city council liaison. She can bring those to the retreat, and we'll put that on our work plans for the next 12 months and beyond. And the last thing, just wanted to say that we've updated our property inventory for downtown. And so our current numbers within the DDA boundaries, there are 204 businesses that provide 645 jobs to the city within our DDA boundaries. And that's using our business license data and number of jobs. That's larger than it has been, but that's a lot of jobs. It's a big part of our city. And so thank you for continuing to invest in downtown. It does create great problems, like how do we handle the pedestrian traffic, but that's why, is because it's such a big part of our economy for the city. 48% of those properties are businesses, 23% of those properties are residential, and 6% is government. So that's kind of the breakdown of all those parcels, and we have an 8% vacancy rate, which is really low. So thank you for your support. We're excited about the progress we've had. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have about all the things going on with downtown and around the city, if you have anything.
Okay, thank you, Sadie.
Thank you.
Items coming up for discussion. We have a public hearing on a rezone of 110 Mears Street. Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. These both pertain to the same property, so kind of combine them in my explanation of what's going on. The first one is a rezone of 110 Mears Street from current zoning of R2 to proposed zoning of B2. They're wanting to do that in conjunction with the sale of the property to have a school in their old sanctuary building, which explains the second item on there, which is a conditional use. They're asking for a conditional use to allow a school in that zoning classification. Schools are conditional use in all zoning classifications in which they're allowed, so they're doing that as well. once they get those two things done, they're going to subdivide the property. And their fellowship hall, which is closer to the Madison Street Mill, will probably be going to a personal care home facility, and then the sanctuary will be used for school purposes. That's the intention, and that fellowship hall area will get a separate address eventually at 120 Mirror Street, just to make you aware of that. If you have any questions about either one of those upcoming hearings, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We'll have our second reading of the Airport Commission.
We'll do the actual reading next week, but for now, this is just continuation of the discussion before we do that second reading. This was just a minor update on the actual role of the commission as the advisory board to the council, and we adjusted their meeting dates from each month to every other month, or as needed, to be flexible. Just the volume of work with an airport, it's really slowed down as you get to the state and federal levels, so there's not a lot to meet on each month. So we're just amending the ordinance to actual business practices here.
Okay, any questions about that? Okay, item 3, we'll have our second reading of Chapter 94, Article 4, Motorized Vehicles Ordinance Amendment.
Yes, sir. We'll do this official second reading at the next council meeting. Again, this is to further any discussion that you may have, as we've already done the first reading of this ordinance. We incorporated some of those changes that were discussed a couple months ago. Obviously, you wouldn't have these personal transportation vehicles on state routes. That was the big one. You may cross the state routes and you have to have proper equipment, and they would have to be registered through the code office. I'll be happy to take any other questions on this ordinance.
Under administration of that new, I guess, ordinance, are we going to have a time period set that to give, people that have golf carts a chance to update theirs? Because I've already seen a couple on the street that are not in compliance.
Yeah, we can do that. We won't roll it out right away. We'll set a date, probably October 1. But this ordinance really kind of helps us enforce those illegal vehicles as well. So if you see some carts out there and they don't have that decal, they're not legal operated vehicles for the city of Monroe.
And do we have fine fees, or fee schedule of, somebody's probably going to get pulled over by the police department?
We can pull that. That would be according to state statute.
Okay, I think we need to get something.
And advertise that, let people know ahead of time that it's serious if they're not in compliance.
Any other questions on that issue? Okay, if not, the Art Guild roof renovation. Chris.
Yeah, we had this on the agenda last month, and we were unable to get all of our bids secured and everything in time because it was short notice. Obviously, it's a non-budgeted item, simply because it's kind of hard to budget something of this nature, and I think it's something Logan and I want to address going forward, to be able to have money set aside in the budget for building maintenance repairs when things like this do come up. But basically, if you're standing on Highway 11 looking at the Art Guild, you've got the main structure. You've got the smaller part that's out back that's got a lower elevated roof, which is where most of the employees enter. It's their storage area. So that's what I'll refer to as the lower elevation roof. But the leaks, I think, have been going on for quite a while, and they've gotten to the point that we're starting to see damage inside, and that's just something we can't have. So the bid was to include the higher elevation roof, which is the flat part of the main structure, the lower part on the back structure where the employees enter, the sloped part that's shingled to actually keep the same look, to keep everything how it is. And then there's an internal gutter system that the shingle and slope roof runs into. And to basically, to do the higher elevation, lower elevation flat parts, re-shingle, re-flash everything, fix the internal gutter systems. The low bid, we actually went through Garland, who did the City Hall and did the community building on Church Street. Low bid came back with the Horizon Roofing at $69,862 to do all of that. So that's what we're asking for approval tonight, to be able to basically redo the roof on the Art Guild building.
Can you kind of go in, either you or Logan want to kind of go in and tell us where the money's coming from, since this is not a budgeted item, so everybody will know where it's coming from?
Right, so we have a little bit of money left in the old public facilities bond. This is a good project to use that residual of, so $32,111.18 will be used there. The remainder of that is $37,750.82 will come from prior year's reserves. Unfortunately, that's what our reserves are there for. We just don't have it individually line item allocated anywhere else. But this is a historic building. We don't need to let it fall in any further. So for something like this, I think it's an appropriate use of our reserves.
Absolutely. And how long has it been since that roof?
Oof.
I think it was in the 80s.
Yeah, it was before
we
my,
had
it was
issues
literally
then.
before my time.
Yeah. I remember it had been closed up and not used for a number of years, and we walked in one day and discovered some major issues.
Yep, and just as a little side note, you know, I kind of estimate, if you look in the recommendation section, come budget time, we'll come back before y'all in the budget meetings to request that we put approximately $50,000 to renovate the exterior of the building and fix the internal damage that the leaks have caused. And then two, to point out, Sadie's actually helped us a good bit, and we're working on a grant to hopefully get roughly $10,000 of this back through state funding of historical buildings in downtown areas. So
great.
All right. Any other questions for Chris? Thank you very much. We have two items requiring action tonight. Our first item is the approval of the 2017 millage rate.
I'll take that, Mayor. It appears the county has just gone forward with their tax increase tonight. But we will do a full rollback of our millage rate. We have the appropriate growth in our digest that I believe we can handle a full rollback down to 7.421 mills. We'll still bring in roughly $81,553 more based on the new growth in digest. That's reflective of a pretty robust economy here in the city. Things are moving in the right direction. The breakdown of that millage rate is 5.418 mills maintenance operations and 2.003 mills for the bond millage rate, again for a total of 7.421. So this is 0.381 mills less than last year, 2016. We have Form PT 32, which needs approval, Form PT 38, and we've already advertised the 5-year history of the digest. So those forms are part of this levy that I'm asking for approval tonight.
Mr. Prost, I read this correctly, that unlike other local governments that continue to raise their rates, this will be the 4th consecutive year we've lowered the millage rate?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we take the vote? Okay, with no other questions, I need a motion.
Move to approve approval of the millage rate at 7.421 mills and approve Form PT 32 and PT 38.
Have a motion by Mr. Adcock, Second. Second by Mr. Little. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank y'all for doing the right thing. Item number 2 is call for a special election in District 3.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a vacancy in District 3. Tonight, we need to call for that special election to run concurrent with the regular scheduled election in November, on November 7th, per our ordinance.
So we'll be voting to fill the seat in November.
Yes, sir.
And then turn around and voting again to fill the seat in January.
Well, these will run concurrently, so.
Right, same election.
Same
Just
election.
for folks to understand.
That's right. So, this seat will be open to finish the term for the year, November 8th through the end of the year. And then,
They'll have to run again.
No, you'll
no,
vote.
and then you vote at the same time,
okay.
November 7th.
Same
Oh,
election.
okay,
And
okay.
then, let's say that same person wins, they continue on for the new term of the district.
But it's two separate votes.
Two separate votes, same election.
Running
Mayor.
concurrent.
So, I mean, you could possibly have somebody sitting there for less than 2 months and then change over.
Correct. A little complicated, but this was.
But it works. That's
This
great.
is what the Secretary of State's office told us we had to do. It's a unique situation.
I suppose there'll be 2 qualifying fees.
Yes.
There will be 2 qualifying fees. So you don't necessarily have to run for the November seat. You can run for the January.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you do pay 2 qualifying fees if you run for both elections.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion, we call for special election to be held on November 7th, 2017, concurrent with the general election to fill the unexpired term of Nathan Purvis for District 3.
Have a motion by Mr. Bradley.
Second.
Second by Ms. Malcolm. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. And with no other business, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ms. Malcolm?
Second.
Second, Mr. Adcock. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank y'all very much.